Hello, good evening. Welcome to Walsall Weekly, round two. Right, so looking back at Saturday, we had a 3-3 draw against Bradford after being 3-0 down at half-time. Dylan and James did fan cams, which can be found on the website and on YouTube. But Kev and Liam decided to rush off after the game, so let's get their opinions. Liam, what did you think of the game Saturday?
Honestly, I thought 3-0 down was it wasn't a good reflection of our performance. I think we weren't that bad. Bradford, yeah, the first goal was probably the best one because they counter-attacked. But we showed good spirit. I think we played better with two up front with Oschuma behind, and I think that may be a system we have to use second half maybe.
Okay, and Kev, what were your thoughts on the game? I know you had your little nephew with you, so you saw practically about 12 minutes of the whole game, but from what you did see, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Liam. I thought that when Bradford went 3-0 up, I thought it was a little bit... we were unlucky to be 3-0 down. They took their chances, we didn't. Morris's miss was disgusting, really. But I think he's just lacking in confidence. But as soon as we got that first goal, the confidence just lifted the players, the stadium as well. And like I say, we could have actually won that game right at the end. But I was fairly happy at full time. I would have taken a point before the match. But we've got to kick on and get something against Plymouth now.
Looking ahead to Saturday, we've got a game against Plymouth Argyle down at the Banksy, second home game in a row. A number of players on international duty, but John Whitney wants to sustain some kind of momentum. So I guess for the guys, the two questions I've got are, is that a good choice? And also for Dylan and James, if you could just give us a bit of a look into the future for the game. So Dylan, starting with you.
It's a game we need to win. We've drawn the past two games. It's going to be a bit tough with the squad we're going to have. The bench isn't going to be very good at all. Obviously, Donnellan's in the starting 11. He's not going to be there. But we need to win it. I said in the last episode that out of Bradford and Plymouth, we needed to win the Plymouth game. Whether it was the right call to keep the game on, I don't know. But yeah, hoping for the win.
Okay, and James, good idea to carry on Saturday, minus half of our team, or?
Probably about 3-4 of them. I'll be on the bench anyway. The only real one we're probably going to miss is going to be Tyler Roberts. He made the difference against Bradford. I think the only worry is just how bare the bench is going to be, because it's going to be full of youth teamers. So if we get in the same position as what we did last week, we haven't got the people like we did last week to come on and change the game. I think that's going to be the biggest worry for us.
Okay, and for a question for all four of you then, what are your score predictions for Saturday? And if you want to be a bit more precise, who are we going for goal scorers, if any? Starting with you, James.
They got battered against, I think it was Peterborough the other week. So they're going to be low on confidence. We'll probably just about sneak it. I think 1-0. We're due to keep a clean sheet. I don't think they've scored that many goals. I think they're very similar to us. So we'll just sneak it 1-0, I have a feeling.
Goal scorer?
I think Baka will get another one. I think he'll be on confidence now he's got that goal. And he'll just need to get the service he did in that second half again.
Right, moving on to you, Kev. Predictions for Saturday, scores and scorers, if possible, for Walsall, because I'm assuming you don't know many Plymouth players. So yeah, here we go.
I reckon it's just going to be like the last couple of home games. I think we'll go a goal down. Fans will get a bit restless thinking about all those players on international duty. And then Whitney will give them a kick up the arse at half time. And then they'll come out again and we'll win 2-1. I think Nicky Devlin will get a goal for us, and I will also plump for Oschuma.
Okay, fantastic. Liam, your predictions?
Well, last week I did say 4 points from Bradford, Plymouth, so I am backing us to win. I'm going to go for 2-0 with Oschuma and Edwards scoring our goals.
And finally, Dylan, your predictions and scorers, please.
I'm going to say 1-1. I agree with everything Kev said. I think we're going to go one down again, go into half-time, come out a completely different team. If I was going to go with a score, I'll say 1-1 and Wilson from a corner.
Okay, fantastic. So if we take a look back now at some of the news that's been Walsall FC related throughout the past week, starting off with Mitch Candlin. He's training with the England under-18s, as we found out this morning. So what's everybody's thoughts on that? Dylan, I'll start with you.
I think it's great news. I mean, how often do we have a player called up to the England side? It's going to be promising for him. It's going to give him a massive morale boost, and it's fantastic news for the club. So, I mean, the last player to get called up was Rico, and I mean, look where he is now and how much we got for him. So it's certainly promising for the kid.
Okay, and Liam, what are your thoughts on Mitch training with the under-18s? He's training with people like Angel Gomez from Manchester United, Phil Foden at Man City. So yeah, what do you think of that?
I think he deserves it. Like, you know, he probably is one of our best academy prospects at, like, the time currently, and I think it will, like, if he makes an appearance, it will boost up his value if we do sell him in the future. So yeah, it is very promising.
Okay, Kev, your thoughts, please.
To be honest, it come as a complete shock to me. Obviously, he scored 5 goals in pre-season, then he scored that goal against Shrewsbury behind closed doors. But it just goes to show that the England setup have got so much faith in Walsall at the moment. Like, we've got the women playing at the stadium, we've got the youth playing at the stadium. Obviously, Rico Henry got called up. Now Mitch. It's just fantastic news for the club that a team in League One can actually get players into the England setup is phenomenal, really, and just goes to show where the money goes for the infrastructure. And credit to Mitch, and good luck for Saturday and Tuesday.
It's actually Friday, but we'll forgive you on that one. And James, finally, your thoughts. Mitch training with the under-18s. Potentially, he's got a game against Brazil on Friday, and I think it's Tuesday against South Africa. Interestingly, as I was saying to you earlier off camera, for Brazil, the fat Ronaldo's son plays for them, so that should be a baptism of fire for him. But what are your thoughts on Mitch with the England under-18s?
Yeah, obviously it's great news for him. I mean, he's a local lad, so we're all pleased for him, and he's the sort of player we all love at the club. You know, local young lad has been through the youth system probably most of his life, and going to England, his development will go through the roof now, hopefully. You know, there's no better way to develop them playing with players from Man United, who we all know are fantastic, and hopefully he'll get a lot off them. And the coaches at England as well, hopefully they'll really bring him up, and hopefully he can be the player we all dream he can be for us.
Okay, cracking views, lads. And secondly, obviously last week we were talking about players incoming, and we signed Tyler Roberts. We all saw what he did on Saturday when he came on eventually. So if we could just have a little chat about the impact that he's had, and how you see the rest of his loan spell going, and could we possibly extend it? So James, I'll come back to you and we'll go the other way. So James.
Yeah, I've said enough about Tyler Roberts. He's outstanding. He's could easily get into a championship club. I mean, West Brom were waiting for a championship club to come in. That's why it took a while for that deal to get finally done with us. It was great news for him again, same as Candlin. He'll develop a lot now with the Welsh side, and hopefully he can really help us push on for this season.
Okay, fantastic. Kev, you're next. What are your views?
To be fair, considering like we haven't really had a decent striker for, well, pre-season. He was a breath of fresh air when he came in. So many people were raving about him, and I hadn't heard too much about him. So when he came on Saturday, I was fairly neutral. But he completely changed the game. He took his chance. He set up the goal for Baka. And to be fair, you've just got to look at his touch, his pace. He definitely brings a new dynamic to the Walsall team. But as Liam said earlier, we need to get 2 up top, with maybe Amma or Jackson alongside him. But no, so far so good.
Liam, Tyler Roberts, talk to me about Tyler and his impression so far, and what you think he's going to do in his loan spell.
Well, I knew what he was like beforehand because he went to my school, and I think he's a really good player. I know he's got pace, he'll pressure the defenders, which maybe like later on in the second half, if we do bring him on or straight from the off, he will do. And I think if he does score more goals, I don't think we'll extend it. I think he'll be off to a championship club in January.
Okay, and Dylan, finally, Tyler Roberts, what are your views, and how much did he impress you when he came on Saturday?
He impressed me a lot. I mean, he didn't even play the full 90 minutes. He played 35 minutes, got an assist and a goal. I was really impressed with him. You know, he brings something to the team that we haven't had for quite a while, that bit of pace in the final third. When it comes to extending, I think we'll extend in January, and then in the summer we'll go to a championship side. I can't see him going to a championship side halfway through the season, but I'm really impressed. I think he'll score a lot more goals this season.
Okay, thanks lads. And third and final piece of news, which isn't really Walsall related, but we were in 3 months apparently. So our good friends down south in France at Gillingham have released Josh Wright on a free transfer. Would you take him at Walsall? And if so, why? So let's start with Liam.
Honestly, I would take him because he's another central midfielder, and I think we could do with 4 solid midfielders, because if we're going to play with 3 on the pitch, or even 2 because Ostuma... No, we would have 3, yeah, because if Ostuma's going to play up front, then we'd have 1 on the bench, so that maybe Morris could either be shifted out or loaned out maybe, because he won't fit into the system. If we've got Edwards, Chambers and Cavalier or Wright, either one of them on the bench, I think we will be solid in midfield. Right,
so Kev, Josh Wright, I'm assuming you're probably a bigger fan of his brother Mark, because I'm assuming you watched anyway, he's Essex. So what are your thoughts on Josh, and would you have him at Walsall Football Club?
To be fair, when I found out his brother was Mark Rice, I thought, no, I don't want him at the club. I don't want all that celebrity shit that goes on. But nah, Josh Rice is someone that we should be looking at. He scored 14 goals last season, I think. Got Player of the Season. And Gills fans rate him highly. Whether we can afford him, that's something else. But John says he does want another signing before the window closes. There's no point in getting a winger with the formation that we're playing, so Josh Wright would fit that mould, and yeah, I'd be happy to see him.
Right, so Dylan, Josh Wright, would you have him at Walsall?
I think it'd be a great signing. Had a fantastic season with Gillingham last campaign. The only worry that I have is after he's had such a good campaign, he's going to want a wage hike, and you know, we all know that we haven't got the money to fork out with that kind of stuff, but I think it'd be a great signing. The only worry that I have is Morris. Obviously Morris is playing centrally at the minute, so if we brought Wright in, we'd either have to get rid of Morris or put him out wide. I'd much rather have Wright in the side than Morris, but I think it'd be a great acquisition.
And finally, moving on to you, James, Josh Wright, would you have him at Walsall? And if so, why? And obviously if not, why not?
Yeah, he's probably what we need. I think Morris has proved he's not a centre midfielder, and you know he's proven that this season. He just hasn't got the qualities to be in that centre midfield alongside Edwards. But you know we've got Flo. He does a good job. I think the only thing is it doesn't play midweek games because of fitness issues. So if we could get him in, it'll be a really good signing. But I just don't think we could probably stretch the budget that far for him, unfortunately.
Right, so moving on to fan questions off Twitter. The first question I have is off Adam Guest. So, lads, I'm only going to ask a couple of you each question. So, first question from Adam is Whitney the first Walsall manager in history to have a 100% success rate with his summer signings? None of the new players are shit. So, we'll start with Kev on that one. Kev, what do you think?
To be honest, he has actually got some good players in this summer. I wouldn't go as far to say that they are the best, because they're far from it, but they are battlers. But yeah, I'll probably agree with that. Whitney does actually have an eye for a player, and I'm fairly happy with it, so yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And Dylan, Adam Guest thinks that none of the players that we've signed are shit this summer. Does Whitney have a 100% success rate with his signings or not?
I wouldn't go that far, but I'd certainly praise him. I mean, we've had a completely new backline, we've had a new goalkeeper, and to be honest, I'll rate all of our new defenders: Devlin, Leahy, Wilson, Guthrie. Gillespie's been pretty good as well. So they've been good signings. Whether I'd say they've been fantastic is another matter.
Okay, thanks lads. Okay, so second fan question again off Twitter is from Rob Lowe. His question is, if you could have been a Walsall player, who would you have been and why? So that question is going to go to Liam and James. I sound like I'm on blind date, but Liam, if you could have been a Walsall player, who would you have been and why?
Probably Georgie Leoto. Fan favourite.
Georgie Leotard?
Start that one again.
Right, so the next question from the followers on Twitter is from Rob Lowe. His question is, if you could have been a Walsall player, who would you have been and why? So I'm going to ask that to Liam and James. Liam, if you were a Walsall player or could have been a Walsall player, which one would you have been and why, please?
Adam Chambers, fans' favourite played so many games, and just sits in the middle of the park. That's what I like to do.
No fitness at your young age?
Far from.
James says definitely not. So, talking to James, if you could have been a Walsall player, mate, who would you have been and why?
Tom Bradshaw. They know why.
Some people might, but if you'd care to expand for everybody that's watching, I've got an idea what your answer might be, but if you can keep it clean, please.
I'll keep it clean, but check my Twitter, check the pin twist, and you'll see why. But now, fans' favourite, same as obviously Chambers, and scores goals.
And you like scoring goals? You like hitting the back of the net?
Who doesn't?
Bakayoko, maybe.
Jackson.
Right, so third and final question for this evening is off Glenn Clark. The question is, should Walsall cancel by the stadium? I'm going to ask this just to you, Kev, because you're about 40, so you've been around, you've seen it, you've heard all the rumours before. So what are your thoughts? Should Walsall cancel by the stadium?
I don't understand how it would put us in a better position, to be honest, because the council would buy the freehold, then they would rent it back out to us. Someone quoted about £400,000 a year, which is, 40-50 grand less than what we're paying Jeff at the minute. And then with the council as well, if the town is struggling, they're going to bump up the costs for the stadium for all of us lot to look after everyone else. And then before we know it, it's going to spiral out of control, and we won't be able to continue paying for it. Leeds have just recently purchased their stadium back from their council, and a few Leeds fans I've spoken to have already said it was the worst thing that they ever did. So, for us to give it to the council, I know Jeff will try and make a fast buck pretty quickly, so we might actually listen to him, but from a fan side, it's not the right option.
Okay, thanks for your views, Kev. Well, not going to ask any of the others because you don't even know any Walsall players from beyond 2014, so we'll leave that one at that, and we'll swiftly move on. Moving on finally then to the last action of tonight. Well, for me at least, I don't know about Kevin James, but moving on to the last action of the night, we've got the draw for the Walsall Supporters Trust versus Legends game. It's 37 names in the hat. I've been asked to manage that, so possibly will cause a bit of uproar, but I'm number one, so I'm playing, so I'm the first name that's drawn out of the hat. The rest of them are going to be pulled by these guys here. So in a minute I'm going to ask us to go around in a clockwise fashion and pull out a name, give it to me. I'll read that out. I'm going to pull out 22 names, which will be the original starting lineups, and there'll also be 5 reserves pulled out, so if anybody does drop out, then they'll be asked to take part in that order. Right, so let's start with James. If you could draw the first name out of the hat, please, and pass it to me, and we'll go around. So James, Dylan, Kev, and Liam, and until we've finished. So first name out of the hat is Darren Young. So Dylan, if we could just leave him there, so I actually remember who's playing, that'd be good. Second name out of the hat is Luke Yates. Third name is Chris Saunders. I'm sure Chris will owe you a beer after that, Kev, at the next game. Fourth is Mike Mayo. Would be good to see you, Mike. I'm surprised you turned up for your own wedding, mate, but hopefully you'll be there. So you're in the list. Next. Next one out is Dylan Fradsley. Our own Dylan, here he is. Round of applause for Dylan. It's a point for James. Next one, please. Next out of the hat is Kyle Holmes. And next. Seventh out of the hat is Danny Price. The 8th person, please. Eighth person is Luke Cooper. Number 9, please, James. Number 9 is Andy Webster. Only one Dylan. Next one is Jason Davis. How many is that so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So another 11 to draw. Kev has drawn out Ryan Pratt. Liam? Next one is Dan Humphreys.
13.
James with number 13, please. Thirteen is Peter Sturgis.
Getting tight.
Next one out the hat is Lucas Mealy. Kev has drawn Craig Zekovic. What number are we on now, Liam? 16?
Yeah.
16 is Dan Weewell. Sorry if I got that wrong. Dan Weewell. Ha. Next one, James. Is Chris Hill. So what are we on now? Is this 18? Name 18 is Aid Gilbert. 19 from Kev. Number 19 is Harry Boniface. 2 left to draw for the main squad, so Liam, number 20. Number 20 is Neil Murdoch. And James, number 21 to join me, so this will be the full 22-man squad. And number 21 is Pete Robinson. So there we have the first 22. We're now going to go around and draw 5 reserves. If people do drop out, then they will be asked to replace those people in the order that they're drawn. So Dylan, if we can start with you, number 1. First reserve is Ryan Middleton. Second, Kev. Second reserve is Ben Hartshorn. Third, Liam. Third reserve is James McElvin. There he is.
Yeah, we have point.
No, I don't.
Third reserve, number 4, James.
Do me a favour, come on, return it.
Fourth reserve is Jack Norrie. And finally, the fifth reserve.
Come on, fix it for Liam.
Come on, I'll get your point.
Fifth reserve for the game is
Not me.
Adam Garbett. So there we go. Liam's going off to cry.
For good
We've
luck.
got
Excuse me.
22-man squad, 5 reserves. So I'll be contacting you all. If you could make a payment of £10 towards the game before the 14th of September, I'll obviously send you my contact details. But there we have it. There's a squad for the Fans vs Legends, 1st of October at Rushall Olympic. And from James, Liam, Dylan, Kev and me, it's good night from the Walsall Mongs, it appears on Twitter. So enjoy your evening and we'll catch you soon. Cheers.